Tonight on the Consumer Show, binning the bin charges, how you can dramatically cut your waste bills.
Getting to the match. We show you the best way of getting to the Heineken Cup final without selling the family home.
And have you ever been offered a free trial online? Tonight we show just how expensive some of those trials can turn out to be.
It was extremely stressful, I have to say. I felt I was being robbed and there was nothing I could do about it. There was nowhere I could turn.
You're very welcome to the show. Tonight, rubbish bin charges were introduced nearly 10 years ago and for a lot of us have risen steadily ever since. Well, those charges are here to stay, so we want to show you just how much you can do to cut them down. This is how one family found a way to save themselves a small fortune.
The typical Irish household generates 840 kilos of waste a year. That's 10 times the weight of an average Irish male, costing most of us anywhere between 200 and 400 euro per annum. Like many of us, Jim Lanigan and Sonia Clark in Dunleary feel there's not much they can do to reduce their waste and cut their bin bills.
We have a teenager and he eats like a horse, you know what I mean? You know, and kids do, they snack all day long and just, you know, it builds up a lot of waste, you know.
We just fill the bins and then they just get emptied and that's as far as we know.
The annual charge, what's the annual charge?
We don't even know what the annual charge is. So we just get charged and we just pay for it and that would be it.
But bin charges nationwide are heading upwards. Landfill charges go up in July. That's effectively a tax increase on residual waste, which is the stuff in the black bin that's not recycled and ends up in the dump.
Every 2 weeks, the bins are completely full. I think we throw too much into the black bin and we don't think about what we should be throwing in because I think we don't really know what we should be throwing in.
I'm here to challenge Jim and Sonia to change their ways. This will lessen the impact of future price hikes and cut their current bills. We weighed your bin.
Yeah.
And of course it's on a 2-week cycle.
Yes. And
it weighed 34 kilos. So it's like as if you're getting rid of a fairly big dog. But how much are you spending in a year, do you think, on waste collection?
No idea.
It's 270.
Wow.
Do you think that your waste is just a flat charge, or do you think it's done by weight?
Flat charge.
It's actually done by weight.
Oh, is it?
And what they do is they charge you €3.20 for every lift.
And is that before actually then weighing anything?
No, that's just lifting it.
Just lifting it?
Yeah, lifting it, yeah. €3.20. And then there's a charge of 26 cents per kilo of waste. Now that they understand the charges, I want Sonia and Jim to spend the next 2 weeks taking control of the costs. The aim is to put as little as possible into the black bin. OK, well, I'm going to challenge you.
Oh, great.
Okay.
To become a zero waste house.
Zero.
Zero waste.
Zero waste.
You're winding me up, you are.
I'm going to give you techniques.
Yeah.
Little booklet on tips.
OK, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it's very simple. This is about consumers taking control. First step for the family is installing a composter in their back garden. This will break down all the food waste and kitchen scraps that were going into the black bin. Next, Sonia tries to get the whole family to become more waste-wise, with information clearly on display and a new system of bins.
Okay. It was a headache, you know, actually trying to sort out which cartons would go into different bins, and obviously, you know, and it does take a lot of sort of looking and mind training. I'm washing these containers, which I didn't realise that you needed to wash the containers. If you don't wash them, they get rejected.
While Sonia is getting stuck into the challenge, I'm off to investigate the end results of her efforts.
If people just understand that when they separate their waste and they put waste into the dry recyclables bins or they separate into their compost bins, they're actually creating jobs. What the companies do is they take those recyclables and then they convert them into good product and they sell that. Now, if they weren't doing all of this added value stuff, creating jobs, then the consumer would have to pay the true cost of waste, which is probably going to be 400, 500 euros a year. So the more they recycle, the less they'll have to pay, in fact, for their waste.
Where there's muck, there really is brass. All plastic can be made into fleeces or street furniture, while leftover non-recyclables can be baled and used as fuel in Latvian cement factories. What about food waste? I mean, we seem to be throwing out a lot of food that we buy.
Sadly, we throw away about 1/3 of the food we buy, and this is a shocking waste. Consumers are paying for it twice. They buy the food, they don't use all of it, they throw it away. You pay for it when you buy it, and then you pay again when you put it in your bin, you see. So it's a double cost to the consumer.
A week on, and the rodent-proof green cone composter is eating a container full of cooked and uncooked kitchen scraps every day.
I didn't realise how much kitchen waste could go into the green cone.
Sonia set up a nice little system there.
I mean, there's hardly anything what goes into the black bin.
It's a new mindset, and well, the first week was hard, and now it seems to be easy, you know.
I'm back in Dunleary to see how Jim and Sonia have got on with their zero waste challenge. Now let's check the bin. See how we're doing. Just hold it up there a second. Let's have a look. Oh, one small bag. Well, this looks pretty impressive. Remember, they had been filling the bin completely every 2 weeks and generating 34 kilos of waste. Wonder what this little bag will weigh. Let's go and have a look. What the excitement of it all. Is it one of the heaviest bins you've ever lifted?
No, this is the lightest.
Is it? It's one of the lightest bins he's ever lifted.
There you go.
Off she goes. Okay, give us the good news. How much was it?
I believe it was under 4 kilos.
Under 4 kilos.
Wow.
Under 4 kilos.
Yeah.
Well done. Congratulations.
Very much.
The proud parents of a 4-kilo wastebasket. The effect of their new habits is even more dramatic than I expected. In 2011, they produced 527 kilos of waste and had 31 lifts, costing them €137 in weight and €99 for lifts. With their new habits, they would produce 192 kilos and need only 4 lifts, costing them just under €50 in weight and €12.80 for lifts. Without changing provider, they would save nearly €175 just by being waste-wise.
I thought the savings would be so minimal. I didn't think it would be worth it. You know, it could be a price for a holiday over it, you know.
Now we have some tips on how to reduce your waste charges, and Dr. Jonathan Durham, who you saw in that report, has come in to talk us through them. Jonathan, thank you for coming in.
Welcome.
Our first tip is pay by weight. Explain what that means and what it will do for your bills.
A lot of people, as we've seen in the clip there, a lot of people are probably not aware that might be on a fixed charge. So it doesn't matter how good they are recycling, how often they use the service, they're paying the same weight. So my advice would be for people to talk to their provider and see can they move them either to a pay by use or pay by weight, which rewards them for recycling and can dramatically, as we've seen, dramatically reduce the costs to the family.
OK, great. So that's a good incentive for any person to cut their rubbish. The next tip we have is to compost. Now, we have a composter here with us in studio. That's kind of your basic composter, is it?
It's a good composter, yes, and there are many different varieties and versions of composters, you know, but the main purpose behind a composter is to divert food waste from your bin, because food waste is quite heavy. So the more weight you have in your bin, the more you're going to pay. So if you can divert this food waste and garden waste to your composter, it'll convert it into a valuable soil nutrient. So it's good advice.
When it comes to compost, I think a lot of people are concerned about rats, about mice, you know, and about whether or not you can put cooked food in it or raw food in it. Like, what can go in that safely in a domestic urban setting?
Well, there are many different types of composters depending on which way you want to come in. But you can put cooked food waste into some of them. But for most people who have any concerns like this, the simple rule of thumb for a lot of people, if they prefer, just put uncooked waste in there, like peelings and fruit and so on, and their garden clippings, and then that will still save them quite a bit in weight.
OK, now the next tip is to plan your shop. And we saw in the report that we throw out about 1/3 of the food we buy every year.
Oh, yes, 30%. Based on good research, 30% of the food you buy, you throw away. And if the average family spends, what, €120 a week, say, on food, you know, they're throwing away €40 of that. And over the year, if you look at the avoidable waste rather than all avoidable food waste, it can add up to over €1,000 a year that people are literally throwing away in food that they've bought and that they have wasted.
So avoid those 2-for-1 offers if you can, and make sure you want what you're buying.
Absolutely.
That you need it.
Plan your shopping carefully. Just buy what you need.
OK, and briefly, Jonathan, we heard Eddie talking about the new charges for landfill, or rather the increasing charges for landfill. How much are they going to go up for in July, and what's it going to mean for individuals? It's
currently €50 a tonne, the tax on landfilling, and it's going to go to 65, and it's going to continue to increase. And the basic message from this is that, look, landfill is going to become more expensive. So the more people can divert waste from landfill, the more money they're going to save.
Super. Listen, Jonathan, thanks a million for coming in. And if you are keen to cut your waste and bin bills, take a look at our website. All of this information is up there.
Now, we continue to be inundated with emails from you, especially after last week's show when we had numerous emails about payment protection insurance. Catherine George got